don't know. It was like I was in a catatonic state. I must have put away like 15 cards.
What did Chris say?
Nothing. He never acknowledged it.
All right, we are so close to the 44th annual Vancouver International Film Festival to happen, and we're talking with another director with a film in our festival, the director of Middle Life, Pavan. Hello.
Hey, David, thanks for having me.
No worries. So, now, how many films have you made that have gone into big film festivals like VIFF?
This is the fourth one. It's the first one in a little while, but I made three in like quick succession, like maybe starting 10 years ago. And then there was a bit of a lull, and now this one is my comeback.
Nice, nice. And have you screened at VIFF before?
I haven't actually. I've never even been to Vancouver. So I'm
Oh,
really looking forward to coming down for the festival in a couple weeks.
nice, nice, wonderful. Now, Middle Life. I haven't seen the whole film, but I've seen clips of it, and
Hmm.
it looks. I'm no, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna
Hmm.
guess, and you can say, nope, that's not what it's about at all. Just
Sure.
from the clips, it's someone who's having a bit of a crisis as they approach their middle life, and
Hmm.
that is manifesting in some mental health issues.
I think a little bit. I would say it's a lot funnier than that. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
it's a pretty fun comedy, and it's a rom-com. So it's about like a woman who has a young child and is in a marriage that isn't working, and she's driving down the street one day, and she sees a flipped over car, and she pulls over and pulls a guy out of the car, and then several months later she runs into him again, and she finds that he's sort of living his life, trying to make the most out of every day in small ways since that accident, and she's sort of enchanted by that. And the story is about the two of them developing this friendship over a year. So the movie takes place over a year, and it's kind of a throwback romantic comedy. Like, we were inspired by a lot of films from the 80s and the 90s. It has like an old school saxophone score, and I think it's a lot of fun. We screened it in Calgary last week, and it's definitely intended to be a crowd pleaser, and it played pretty well in Calgary.
Okay, so you're at the grocery store?
Yeah, we just finished shopping, put the groceries in the car. Chris picked up Theo and I went to put the cart away.
Uh-huh.
And then on the way back, there was a cart blocking a parking space, so I put that one away.
Good Samaritan?
But then there was another one, and another one, and then another one.
You know there are people who are paid to do that, right?
I don't know. It was like I was in a catatonic state. I must have put away like 15 cards.
What did Chris say?
Nothing. He never acknowledged it.
That's weird.
I know.
What brought you to this film? What made you go, this is the story I want to be involved in. This is the story I want to tell.
Well, all the films I've made have generally been like some sort of mix of comedy and drama. That's generally what I gravitate towards. And this one specifically, uh, I had noticed like over the last handful of years, especially like in the post-COVID period, that the films that I was going back and rewatching were all films that had like a warm and coziness to them, maybe because of like how tumultuous life has been in general in the last 5 years or so. And so I just thought it would be cool to make a movie that is like those movies, that's sort of like intended to be a warm blanket of a movie, and make people give people a little bit of like escapism and warmth and coziness in their lives. Hmm.
What was a happy accident that happened while you were filming Middle Life that you end up going, well, I'm very pleased the way this worked out. This was not what was planned, but this worked out
Hmm.
quite quite nicely.
That's a good question.
That's what the other
It's
director said.
tricky. The whole film is kind of a happy accident in a way because it is a pretty low budget film, but all of us who were working on this film, we've worked on bigger things before, and uh, we've worked together in various capacities before, but not in a while. And so I think sort of the happy accident was that we were all kind of in a place where we were working on bigger projects or trying to push bigger projects forward, and we're getting frustrated at how slow things can move when things are bigger. Ultimately, you have less control over how they proceed and when they get made and what you need to go right to make them happen. And so the impetus for this film was just, why don't we do something where it's smaller than we ever envisioned making a film at this stage of our careers, but the trade-off is that we can make it with all of our friends and we can do it not in a year, but we can do it in 2 months, in the next 2 months, and we can start shooting and we can raise the money ourselves and we can have a small crew. And it's sort of, I was definitely in that position, and I had a sense of urgency that luckily the actors in the film, Pete and Leah, who are in the band July Talk, they also had a sense of urgency and they were getting ready to go dive back into like their band life. And so they had a little window, and the cinematographer is this good friend of ours, Jared Rabb, who shot the Blackberry movie that came out a couple of years ago. And so that was a huge movie, and we were so lucky that he was happened to be free when we wanted to shoot. And so it was just like this little window in time when we were all available to make this movie, and it really motivated us to get it together in time, because if we weren't able, we shot it last December, and if we weren't able to shoot it last December, we probably wouldn't have been able to shoot it at all. Like it just would
Right.
have fallen apart completely. And so that was like I guess a happy accident. I mean, and then in the whole film, there's a lot of, we're trying to do things that are beyond the scope of that people would expect of a film this size. So we have like a flipped over car. The film takes place in Toronto and in Los Angeles. So we flew everybody to LA and had a whole LA shoot where we shot on the Hollywood Walk of Fame without any permits, and we're just
Mhm.
like shooting covertly. And that's actually probably a good answer to your question, is the Hollywood Walk of Fame stuff. We shot
Did
uh
you have the camera in the side of a van and the van moving slowly so it was dollying
we
along?
did have we had a little bit of that, and luckily the cameras are so small nowadays that you can make it feel like when we shot the Hollywood Walk of Fame stuff, it was just me, Jared, the cinematographer, and the two actors who were wearing lav mics. And we went down there for a location scout. And the idea was, okay, we're just going to scope things out. And as we were scoping things out, we were realizing that it's so chaotic that you can kind of get away with anything,
Yeah.
and people will just assume you're an influencer. And so we ended up shooting the actual scenes for the movie on the location scout without any of the crew. And so we
Nice.
were able to like cross it off our shooting schedule like 5 days before we were supposed to shoot it.
How wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember once shooting in a mall, and it was a silent thing. And
Hmm.
so I told the actors, I said, just watch my baby finger, because I was way back from them. And I was just, it was slightly bigger pen, it was a DSLR, right? And
Hmm.
so I was just like, looking at stuff, I'm looking
Yeah.
at stuff, I'm looking at stuff, and weak, weak, weak.
Yeah.
Right? And so they did their actions and walked away. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
in the middle of a busy mall.
Yeah, totally. It's great how like the technology has progressed so much, even since the last time I made a film, that the equipment is so much smaller and more covert, and there's so many TikTok influencers that are filming all the time everywhere, that it kind of makes it easier to blend in if you're
Well,
making a film.
and you know what, too? I think a big part of it is all those city officials, all those government officials have laid off all their staff and they've made everything automated. So basically, they ask you to give them money for getting a permit. They just go,
Right.
please fill in the permit. And it's just a machine that goes, okay, here is your permit,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so there's that you're like, well, they just want you to now just give them money don't.
Yeah, yeah, they have nobody to like chase you down or to crash your set and shut it down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we're giving away all the secrets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of films. There's 100 million films at the Vancouver International Film Festival this year, across 9 venues. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm going to give you a chance to tell these people, and you can't use any of the words you've already used,
Okay.
why they should make a point of coming to see Middle Life. I mean, first off, you're Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, you just support Canadian talent, but I
Hmm.
already said that one. So you have to convince these people, come see my film.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons. So, I'm going to be there with the two lead actors, Peter and Leah, who, like I said, are in this band July Talk. And Peter, he made his acting debut in Sinners, the Ryan Coogler movie, and people loved that movie. So, if you loved Sinners and you liked him in that movie, he played one of the evil vampires. That's a good reason to come check it out. Um, and also it's just it's not, I'll say it's not boring. We like really focused on the pace of the movie and it really moving. And so that was something we were talking about all throughout the production of wanting and the writing of it. Just it's a fast-paced movie, and I think people don't always associate that with independent films. I think it usually for budgetary constraints, you have to have less scenes and
Yeah.
longer scenes. And we tried to go in the opposite direction. And so there's like 100 scenes and
Wow.
very few scenes that are over 3 minutes long. So if your attention span has been as destroyed as mine has by looking at your phone,
This is
this
the
might be the
film for
movie for
you.
you. Yeah.